Let me answer your question now about all these people who are the so-called consensus. You will see, I see every day, quoted, 97% of all scientists believe that man-made CO2 causes global warming. That's a fraudulent statement. And the statement that there is a dominant consensus among scientists that CO2 is causing global warming is not based on any known fact. And let me tell you where this number comes from, and let me tell you where that off-quoted statement comes from. There was a graduate student who, this was in Indiana or Illinois, sent out 10,257 questionnaires to climate scientists. He got 3,146 back responses. Of those, he selected either 77 or 79, I'm not quite sure the numbers, correct, it doesn't matter, that he handpicked out of these 3,000 responses. And he asked those people, do you think CO2 is causing climate change? And funny thing, all but 2 said yes, because they were hand-selected. And so the real number is that there were 77 or 75 scientists out of 3,100, not out of 77 or 79. So if you divide this number over that number, you get 2%. So the consensus that you're hearing is 2%, not 98%. If you were to then look at, well, what is the consensus? Whoops, let's go back to this. I have some information that you would find interesting. It's called the Petition Project. And this was a petition, and let me read what the statement says. It says, there is no convincing scientific evidence that human release of carbon dioxide, methane, or other greenhouse gases is causing or will in the foreseeable future cause catastrophic heating of the Earth's atmosphere and disruption of the Earth's climate. How many scientists who have degrees in one of the sciences signed that? And the answer is 31,487, as opposed to the 77 in this survey that's so oft quoted. So I would say the consensus is that scientists do not believe that CO2 is causing global warming, not the other way around. So if you compare what you're seeing on the screen with what I've just read you, of these 31,000 scientists who signed this statement, all have degrees in one of the sciences, and 9,029 have PhDs in those. And the expertise of these is atmospheric, environmental, earth sciences, computer and mathematical sciences, physics and aerospace sciences, chemistry, biology, agriculture. These are real scientists, and there are 31,000 of them. In order for the statement to be true that either the consensus is that CO2 is causing it, you would need to have 32,000 people signed, and there are about 4,000 people who were involved in the IPCC project, and by admission of the chairman of the IPCC for the UN, 80% of those are non-scientists. If you look at the 27 people who wrote the executive summary for the 2007 report, which is so often quoted, guess how many have experience in meteorology? None. So there's the answer to your question.
Senator Billick has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my understanding of the consensus was not based on a survey. It was based on a review of the scientific papers, the peer-reviewed scientific papers. It showed that the overwhelming majority of scientific papers, peer-reviewed, showed either that had a consensus about climate change being human-caused, and a few that came to no conclusion, but very few that came to the opposite conclusion. So I guess I'm just having a little trouble that you're saying that that number is based on just that one methodology, when I think there are other methodologies to arrive at what the scientific consensus is.
Your statement could be true, but let me tell you why it could be true. And that is that the editorial boards of virtually every scientific journal probably in the world, but certainly in the United States, the Geological Society of America, the American Geophysical Union, Science, Nature, all of these places, will not even read a paper that has anything negative to say about CO2. So it's not surprising that there are no papers published that are critical of CO2 as a cause, because their editorial boards will not permit it. And that is a fact, and there are some numbers that go with that. I don't happen to have them handy, but it's clear that the peer review process, the editorial process, has been taken over by what I call CO2 dogmatists who will not permit publication of anything that's in any way critical of CO2, and that's the fact. So your statement could be true. There might be more peer-reviewed papers being published right now because they won't publish anything else.